Hello and welcome, this is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me are two different versions of a one-wide-tileable shaky-sand farm. The one closer to me, right here, is actually producing over 100,000 bamboo per hour. It is about 6,700 bamboo per hour per slice, which is per crop. The one in the back is actually a little bit slower, even though it is too wide. And I will show you how to do that one very quickly first in the setup, and then I'll take you through a more comprehensive build of this. And we are, of course, in the same testing world that I told you this might not have existed, but I don't think you guys believed me. Now, this was the original. It is too wide and flat, and both of these sand are shaking. Interestingly enough, you can see from some stats over here, each one of these plants is about 3,000 per hour, and it does take into account that some lands on the side over here, and what you're looking at is actually 18,000 random updates per hour, which would grow 1,125 cactus per sand if you could stack them next to each other. Put that in some context, the original zero tick farms are 12,000 an hour, and the normal shaky sand is 36,000 per hour. So this is actually half of the normal shaky sand, and that has to do with the block being underneath it for half the time. Now I'm just gonna break this because it's gonna get kind of annoying, and turn this clock off. And in order to make one slice of this, you're going to need the materials in this chest. So this is a simple clock right here. This is what you need for one slice, and then just to get it started, and I'll briefly show you that, just come up off the ground a little bit, and then we're going to want to have 4 coming out like this, and then 3 more on this side, so we can put our repeaters on opposite sides like this, and then come out with the dust over here. Now you are going to want 2 blocks in between your sticky pistons so that they can pass a block back and forth, and then you can just come here and set it off and put down your sand. And sometimes it shakes, sometimes it breaks, and now we have 2 next to each other. And if you were going to continue this out, what you would do is you would just add more blocks like this, and on this side as well, and then you continue the pattern as far out as you want to go, knowing that you may need to add a repeater if you get too far out. And the dust along the back, each of them gets their own block, and then again we're going to set this off, and you could put the sand across both of those. Now this is actually slower than this one, even considering you get 2 crops for there may be some use application for a slightly slower version of zero ticking, which is also slightly faster than the older. But if you just want the crop production, this is what you're going to look at. And this one you can actually turn off and then on, although you will need to replant the bamboo. Let me show you what you need to make that. And those are in this chest over here. And we got a couple of different piles of things. So we have our main clock, and this is what's going to be extending the pistons under the shaky sand. We have the way to move the sand back and forth, which you'll see when I set that up. Then we just have a simple harvesting clock. You can use the more complicated one I showed you on that double flat design, or you can just go smaller and more compact. You are going to want some blocks to set up your collection systems and water streams. You can do this a couple of different ways, and these obviously don't have to be glass blocks. They can be anything solid, and I'll show you how that works as well. And then on a per slice basis, these are the materials you're going to need. And this will work for sugarcane. I will also show you how to readjust it so that it works for sugarcane. And again, this is per slice. So if you want to make it 10 slices, then you need to have 10 of these. And you can see over here that I've gone 15, which is why this is just over 100,000 bamboo per hour. Now let's get started on the tutorial. I just made an extra copy of the materials here. And we're going to come off the ground a bit again. We're going to want to set up our clock first. So we're going to put some observers facing into each other. And then we want to be able to toggle them back and forth because we do want to be able to make a 1 game tick clock. And we can do that just like this. So you can see that we now have a 1 game tick clock when we activate this lever. And we're going to come out 2 on this side and then turn. And we're going to come out 2 and then drop down 1 and then make that turn. And we're going to stick a repeater on that block that comes out. Again, these are parallel. And we're going to put dust connecting them. So now we are extending our 1 game tick clock out on both sides. And then we are going to come out a couple. I'm going to do 3 slices, but you can do more, of course. And we're going to come out again this way. And, excuse me, up 1 on this side so that we can take our dust and run it straight off of that repeater and put repeaters this way. So on this side, the repeaters are facing into this block, and on this side, we're going to put the repeaters facing directly into the pistons. And on this side, we're putting the pistons on top of the block the repeaters just pointed into. And now, when we turn this on, we can make our sand shake. And then we can also turn this off. Now, in order to actually put the sand on, instead of doing it manually, we're going to use a trick where we're going to use our sticky pistons to do that. So we can come across like this and put the sticky pistons down. And we want to come 1 under where we just placed that. And again, we're going to have some of our repeaters this way. And we're going to come back out 1 more. I'm going to put a temporary block right here so that we can put an observer facing this way with a lever on it. We can break that. And now we can put the dust right here. And what this lever does is create a 1 tick pulse. So now we can put all of the sand at the same time onto our pistons that are firing, and they will either all shake or all not shake. You may need to do this a couple of times in order to make it work. And this time you can see it didn't shake, so you would just 1 click and then click it again, and then it'll start to shake, which is good. And now we can turn this off and we can focus on getting a harvesting system in place. And we're going to want to be 1 above right here. So the crop is planted on this lever, but it'll be over the pistons, and this is where it grows into. So we can make sure that we put our pistons in the correct spot. And if you want to see what you're doing while you're setting this up, you can see that the plant will be here, it'll grow up 1, and you want the piston to break it when it grows up 1. And let's turn these back off. And then we're going to put more blocks around the back. And on these, we're going to put some dust as well. And this is the much simpler clock. As I said, you can use the one from the double flat design. And when you place the observers facing into each other, not push them, but place them, this creates a 1 redstone tick clock or a 2 game tick clock, and that will act as the harvester. So you can see while this will all work together is that we start our pistons firing, we put the shaky sand in when it shakes, there we go, and then the crops are planted, and then we start our harvesting clock. But we also need to work on the collection system to make sure this all works. So let's turn this all off again. And you don't have to use glass for this. I'm just using glass so you can still see through and underneath. You're going to want to start at the level of the sand and come up one above the level of the pistons. And we're going to want to put glass on those and also on top of the sand, and then also come down to the other side. Now if you do go further, then obviously you extend this wall out, and then you are going to want to drag this across so that we have some blocks to hold in the crops so they don't go flying off to the side, and also to deal with the water streams. We're going to put our blocks on top of the pistons. Don't block this area right here because the sand is going to get pushed in. And then we're going to come out like this. And you want to come out generally one past this so that you can start putting in your water stream area without needing to worry about dropping this down if you go out further. And then we can put these here. We're going to add the wall in on the other side. And we're just going to come out like this. And again, we want to go one above the line of the pistons. And then we can put our water streams in. We also want to go one above the line of blocks right here, so when the items come shooting this way, they don't go over the top, they hit that wall. And then at this point, again, you can do your water streams in a bunch of different ways. You can put some fence gates here to block in the water streams, and then whatever you want to do with your collection system, keeping in mind that hoppers can only collect 9,000 items per hour. So depending on how many slices you have, adjust for the number of hoppers you will need in your storage system. And then we can put a bucket of water right in there, and it will go and push all of our items down the stream. Then you can either put some ice there or drop it down a block and continue on. And then we can see this all in action, and I will show you how to plant the bamboo as well. So we're going to first come and turn on this side right here to make the pistons go. Then we're going to put the sand in place. It didn't shake, so let's take it back and put it out again. And you may need to do this a couple of times until the sand does start to shake, but because you're doing it all at once, it's a lot easier than doing it one at a time. In order to plant the bamboo, we're actually going to be spam clicking a little bit, and this does work in survival where you can double tap the bamboo in order to make it grow. So you do need to click fairly fast. What's going to happen is I'm going to put the bamboo down. You're going to see a little black outline around the bamboo. I find it's easier if you adjust your mouse so you're trying to click on the top of that box. So you see, and I'm only clicking once, there's a black box around the bamboo. You want to adjust if you can to try and hit on the top and then click quickly. And if you click it twice before the sand is able to complete one of its shaking cycles, it will plant for you and be stable. And you're going to go and you're going to do that around for all of them. And I was in survival, as you can see. We'll go back into creative mode now. We're going to put our water buckets down like that. And then when we complete the harvesting clock, you can see that we are now getting bamboo. Again, each slice is about 6,700 per hour. Now, if you want to adjust this for sugarcane, I will show you how to do that. And we're just going to get rid of this glass so you can see what's going on underneath. And break these as well. In order to make this grow for the sugarcane, you do need to figure out how to fit some water in here. And the reason that the glass blocks I put on the sides like this is so that you can actually come in, break one of these, and put it against the sticky piston. And you'll see it will spread out. If you go out further than 15, you may need to put more water back there. and then put that glass back. And now you can plant the sugarcane, and you can do the same harvesting system. This is a lot faster than is necessary. You can put a slower clock in there if you want, but doing it this way will be about 1,500 sugarcane per slice per hour. And then this is still not unload safe. If you log out of your world with this running, the sand will probably break on you. It's not always, but it does usually break. So to get this in the safe position, you can break the sugarcane, or it'll just do it for you. You pull the sand back first. That will also get rid of the water back there, so you don't have to worry about it spilling over into your redstone. And then you can pull this back and turn off the clock, and the pistons will stop firing and it's off. And then the next time you log back into your world, you reverse the process. You put in the clock, you put down the sand a couple of times until it shakes, and then you replant the crops, which I'm not going to do right now, and then you can put your harvester and turn that back on. Now, if there is water in here, as there is normally, won't be a problem. You can let the water flow down. It won't break any of the redstone. You can see I just turned it off, didn't bother putting the sand back, and the sand will break if you do that in the wrong order. You would have to come back and put the sand back down, which isn't that big of a deal. If there is something in your world where you don't want the water spilling out down here, then you can come in with some extra glass and just place it one under the pistons and to the side, and that won't interfere with your clock or your shaking sand, and the water will just pool up down there. That's optional, and you can see the sand still does shake. That extra blocks down there did not affect it. And you can make this go out as far as you want. If you do go past the 15, which I did over here, then you are going to need to add a couple extra repeaters to make sure that the signal will reach as far as you need it. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate a like, maybe even a share. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.